Hello, my name is Mello, and welcome to Mello Talks. After this long hiatus, I've been wondering how I'm gonna change stuff up and how I'm gonna do things. So why not do something super and start with Supergirl? I will be seeing the film at 10 tonight. I have roughly 10 hours-ish before I see it. So I just wanted to come on here and give my thoughts beforehand, and then I'll switch to afterwards, and I'll give you a detailed review after. Probably spoilers will be in this, so here's your warning for the spoiler review section. This part, though, will be a non-spoiler. So, what do I know about Supergirl? Well, not as much as I probably should. I was much more of Batman and Robins and all that growing up, so I wasn't as familiar with the super family as I was with Batman, but I know a few things. Like, for one, I know she's a much more angrier and a much more aggressive person, but I also feel like that she's a much more emotional person. I feel like Superman doesn't really have as deep of an emotion as Supergirl. With Supergirl, things are a lot more complicated, whereas Superman, things for him can get pretty good and bad, very black and white, very cut dry. I feel like this film really needs to show what Supergirl actually is, because as far as I've known Supergirl, I really grew up on the CW, and I watched bits and pieces of the 1994 or 1984 film of Supergirl, but I feel like while they have the emotional aspect of Supergirl, I don't think they really have the anger and the aggression that Supergirl honestly should have. She was 14 when her planet fucking exploded. So I feel like she should be angry. She should have this rage. She remembers everything, unlike her cousin Superman, who doesn't really have a clear view of Krypton. Like, as we saw in the 2025 Superman film, his parents, I wouldn't go so far as to say that they were evil, but I would go as far to say that they had more radical beliefs about Krypton and how they portray themselves to the rest of the galaxy. As we saw, Superman doesn't know that. Superman found out in the movie. So I feel like this is a really good chance to explore the way in which they are different and what makes them super. So I'm excited to get this kind of revamp of Supergirl. Speaking of the comic Woman of Tomorrow, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, I know basically the cliff notes and what happens and like the important parts, and don't worry, there won't be spoilers for that except for a slight one coming up, but I honestly don't know if it'll be in the movie because they haven't shown anything of it. I know essentially that it's a space-faring story where Supergirl, and I forgot her name, but she meets a girl that is trying to get revenge for her family that Crumb of the Yellow Hills killed, and he went around to multiple planets killing off races and killing off different alien species. And Kara goes on this adventure for her to help her get revenge and teach her a lesson that revenge is not the answer, yada yada yada. And this is the one spoiler for the comic that I do know. As far as the movie, I don't know if this will be in it, so treat this as a spoiler warning for the movie as well. I don't know if Comet is going to be in the movie. They haven't shown anything, and I feel like if Comet is in the movie, there's a fucking super horse and they want toys and stuff and yada yada yada. I feel like that would be a big promotional piece, but who knows. But I hope that Comet is in there. I think it's very fucking cool that there's a fucking super horse that's a human but you turn into a horse. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I that's about all I know as far as the comic. How Lobo fits in, I don't fucking know. I thought Lobo was in the comic, but he's not, so I don't know where that goes along. So I don't know. I'll see. Visually, I know this film is going to be beautiful. I'm seeing it in IMAX, thank God, so I can see it in its full glory and all of its coloring and spacing and everything. So I'm super excited to see how it'll look. I'm super excited to see this movie, and I'll talk to you when I get out of the theater. Hi, I just got out of seeing Supergirl, and I really enjoyed this film. I have to keep this brief and keep this really straight to the point. I don't really want to forget anything that I just saw, and I don't want to mess anything up. So I'll get straight into the review. I really like this movie, and that's perfectly fine. I went into this movie with honestly low expectations. The first trailer didn't really get me as hyped as I wanted it to, and then as things went on, I kind of just watched from afar. I knew it was happening, but I didn't really feel like the super sensation as I did with Superman last year, and that might be my fault just because I don't really know Supergirl like that, and I didn't know Supergirl like that before the film. And that's one thing I will give this film credit for, is you really get to know Kara and get to know what she's going through and her emotions. Like I said earlier, you feel her emotions. When you're reading Kara Zor-El, a Supergirl story, you feel Kara's emotion. I think Millie Alcock did a wonderful job portraying Kara Zor-El. I love this iteration of Kara. You really, again, you get to feel her emotions. You know what she's going through. Everyone has been alone. Everyone's felt homesick. Everyone's felt lonely. And to add grief and to add the revenge subplot, it's all wrapped into one little bow, and it's packaged perfectly into Supergirl, portrayed by Millie Alcock. It's wonderful. Her connections with Ruthie was amazing. I was honestly surprised, because at first, and this is kind of a negative, I will say, the story, it didn't get rolling. There was like a 30-minute time frame where it just it didn't really feel like I was in it. But once they're in that second act, I would say, and then once Lobo appears, that's when you really get this ball rolling. You really get to feel and get integrated in the movie. You feel like you're a part of the movie, witnessing all these things happen. Speaking of Lobo, I loved how Jason Momoa's Lobo kind of felt like just another guy, and that's something that I give credit to this DCU, is this world feels connected. There's a line in the movie where you kind of feel the connection in this past history with Lobo and Kara, and while they don't go deep into that, I think they really open the door for this new world. I could see a Lobo animated series coming soon, or even a Lobo live action series, movie, whatever. But I loved how they made it seem like this is just a day in the life of Lobo, and Supergirl just happened to wander into his space. I loved how that felt. Circling back to Ruthie, I loved how Ruthie, at first, you kind of felt this innocence, this purity, this child. And she still has that even after her parents and her family gets killed right in front of her. And Crumb doesn't even pay attention to her. Crumb just left her like she wasn't even there. She was kind of just like a fly on the wall. I loved how it felt like throughout the movie, she's finding Kara, and it really felt like just happenstance that she made her way into this bar trying to find people that'll kill Crumb for her. It really worked, her interweaving with the story through Kara's path, through Lobo's path, so it kind of all just came together really, really nicely. And that's why I say once Lobo's story got going and all three paths were on the same trajectory, that's when you really start to feel this movie, and you really start to feel the depth, and you really get engrossed into this film. I know that David Cornsweet wasn't really a huge part of this movie at all. He had maybe 10 minutes of screen time total. It was not that much, but it was really, really good to see him again. He really is Superman. Like, he's on screen and that's Superman. And I really feel like Millie Alcock really fits Supergirl in this world. She really complements David's Superman, and David complements her Supergirl really, really well. You see the dynamic, you see the differences, you see the kind of awkwardness, the age difference showing. It's more so sister brother kind of role more than a cousin role, even though they are cousins, of course. I watched this movie with my girlfriend, and she pointed out afterwards that it touched on the subjects of trafficking, specifically women and kids, and the prejudice that they face specifically. And yeah, this movie really does do that. It feels like they scratched the surface. They're not gonna go dive deep into this. This is a PG-13 movie, but there were elements of it to where if you read articles, you'd know that Crumb was a way, way, way worse person when they did the test screenings, and you still feel that in some aspects, in some regards, but I'm really impressed at how well they toned it down and kept it kind of surface level. But if you know, you know, and if you don't, you'll kind of figure it out. They did really well with integrating that into the story, and I really love what they did there. So overall, I really enjoyed that film. Didn't love it, but I liked it enough to where I'd put this as a really good second entry into the DCU. I know Peacemaker and all that, and Creature Commandos and all that, and technically this is like the fourth thing in the DCU. Whatever. You know what I mean. So with that being said, like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.